Quiet of Michael's apartment shattered when Michael's phone vibrated across the desk. Michael unlocked it, and the headline blazed like fire. "Beloved host exposed." Michael said, "This can't be real. This can't be happening." The article dripped with malice, twisting fragments of truth into poison. Hashtags erupted on Michael's screen, each one cutting deeper than the last. Michael whispered, "They don't even know me." The storm of comments grew crueler, strangers mocking with glee. Claire, who once worked alongside Michael, reposted the article without a word. Daniel, who had called Michael a brother, did the same. Their silence spoke volumes, louder than the mob. Michael sat frozen, the air heavy with judgment, his name torn apart by voices he could not silence. Michael stared blankly at the glow of the screen as notifications poured in, each one another nail driven into his name. Michael muttered, "I don't even know these people." The mob grew louder, faceless voices united in cruelty. Michael wanted to defend himself, but his hands hovered frozen over the keyboard, paralyzed by fear of adding fuel. The walls pressed in, silence crushing him as judgment seeped into every corner. Once, Michael's name carried joy and laughter, but now it dripped with venom. Michael whispered, "Where are my friends now?" Claire's name never appeared. Daniel's number stayed dark. Michael's phone remained silent. No message, no loyalty. Betrayal burned hotter than hate, the absence of those who once swore brotherhood. Echoes of old laughter haunted Michael's thoughts. Michael remembered Claire and Daniel once filling this room, their loyalty unshakable. Now Claire and Daniel hid behind silence, their absence louder than any words. Michael scrolled through messages, searching for a defender, but inbox was barren. Michael clenched his jaw and whispered, "Not even one?" Bonds fractured instantly, warmth dissolved into shadows. Outside, the digital mob chanted louder, cruelty drowning out truth. Michael's pulse pounded in his ears, each thud repeating the same truth. He was utterly alone. No shield, no ally, only the ache of abandonment. Michael's reflection in the dark screen glared back, not as a beloved host, not as a friend, but prey cornered by unseen hunters. Michael's phone buzzed again with another cruel repost. His chest tightened, fury mixing with despair. Michael said, "They're feasting on me." He scrolled further, seeing Claire silent, Daniel silent, both complicit in his destruction. Michael slammed phone onto desk, the sound echoing like judgment. Michael whispered, "Not even family." The words tasted bitter. The silence of blood burned louder than shouts of strangers. Michael tried to rise, but his legs buckled, dragging him back to the chair. Rain tapped at the window like mocking applause. Michael muttered, "They want me gone, erased." His voice shook, not accusation but surrender. Rain intensified outside, thunder rattling glass. Michael sat unmoving, staring at his silent phone. Every notification struck like a hammer against what little of his name remained. Michael whispered, "I was never even given a chance." His voice cracked, fragile as glass. Michael's chest heaved as hands trembled against desk, gripping fragments of himself. A memory flickered. Applause, warmth of chants of Michael's name from Claire and Daniel, now poisoned by the mob. Michael thought of calling someone, anyone, but truth cut deep. There was no one left to call. Michael lowered his head and whispered, "I'm already gone." His words dissolved into silence as storm roared louder, drowning him in shadows. Morning light crept into Michael's apartment, a harsh contrast to the storm that raged in his chest. Michael stared at the cluttered desk, trophies of old triumphs coated in dust. He whispered, "I built everything from nothing." The words cracked with pain. Michael remembered nights of sacrifice, long hours chasing a dream no one believed in. He had once been celebrated, a voice that made people laugh, a presence that filled rooms with joy. Now, that voice was drowned out by strangers who had never known him. Michael said, "Do they even remember who I was?" The silence answered back. The walls were lined with photographs of Michael's journey. His first stage, his first contract, his first award. Each memory, once proof of worth, now twisted into a cruel reminder of what had been lost in a single night. Michael wandered into the kitchen, sunlight spilling across the floor. Michael opened a drawer and pulled out a faded photo of Richard, his father. Michael whispered, "You taught me to fight, but I don't know if I can." Richard's stern yet kind face stared back from the frame, a reminder of expectations carried for years. Michael thought of Richard's silence the night before, the unanswered calls. That silence cut deeper than the mob's hate. Michael muttered, "Why won't you pick up?" The weight of Richard's absence crushed Michael more than any stranger's cruelty. Michael clutched the photo to his chest, his breath uneven. Memories of childhood played in his mind, Richard cheering in the crowd, Richard's hand on his shoulder. Now that same hand was gone, withdrawn into silence. Later, Michael collapsed onto the couch, phone lying beside him. His eyes stung from endless scrolling. Just then, a single message lit up the screen. It was Anna. Michael whispered, "Anna, you're still here." Anna had been Michael's closest ally, the one who never abandoned him. Her words read, "I don't believe them. I believe you." Michael's chest tightened with relief, though fear shadowed the joy. He muttered, "You're risking everything." Anna's loyalty was dangerous. Defending Michael meant carrying his burden. But in that moment, Michael felt seen, not as a villain, but as the man he truly was. He closed his eyes, clinging to Anna's message like a lifeline tossed into a raging sea. Michael remembered when Anna first stood by him years ago. The stage had been small, the crowd skeptical, but Anna clapped the loudest, her voice cutting through doubt. Michael whispered, "You never let me fall." His memory replayed her laughter, the way Anna encouraged him after every failure. Now, in silence of a ruined career, Anna's loyalty shone brighter than any spotlight. Michael muttered, one voice against thousands. He gripped the phone, rereading Anna's words again and again. Outside, the world painted him as a monster, but Anna reminded him he was still human. For the first time in hours, Michael's breath steadied. Hope was faint, but it lived, carried in Anna's courage to speak when others stayed silent. The day stretched into heavy silence as Michael stood by the window, city noise distant below. Michael whispered, "They only see the headline, not me." His reflection in the glass showed a man hollowed out, but still standing. Michael remembered the laughter of audiences, the applause that once lifted him higher than fear. That man had not vanished. He had been buried under lies. Michael pressed his forehead to the cool glass, whispering, "I'm still here." Behind him, Anna's message still glowed on the desk, a reminder that not everyone had erased him. Richard's silence still cut deep, but Anna's defiance planted a seed of strength. For the first time since the storm began, Michael believed survival might be possible. Michael woke to the sound of his phone buzzing endlessly, as if the world refused to let him rest. The morning light that seeped through his blinds carried no comfort, only exposure. His notifications were filled with sponsors announcing withdrawals, each message a cold statement of separation. Michael whispered, "They didn't even ask me, not a single call." His heart twisted as he scrolled further, seeing statements from brands that once celebrated him as a symbol of trust. Claire had reposted their announcement with a simple line, "We stand against betrayal." Michael clenched his jaw, muttering, "You were supposed to know me better." His chest heaved as the betrayal deepened. Michael remembered the months of sleepless nights spent building partnerships, rehearsing campaigns, pouring his soul into every effort. Now, with a single wave of online outrage, everything was erased. Anna sent another message, "Stay strong, Michael. Truth doesn't vanish." Michael gripped the phone tightly, his eyes blurring with tears. But even Anna's support could not drown out the weight of abandonment. And the whole lie. Richard's silence remained, the unanswered calls a heavy shadow that pressed harder than the mob's venom. Michael whispered, "Even my father won't look at me." His reflection in the darkened screen looked back, not as a host, not as a son, but as a man stripped of every anchor. The storm was no longer outside. It had seeped into every corner of his life. By afternoon, Michael's name trended again, not for redemption but with a new wave of accusations. Old photos surfaced, twisted captions making every smile look sinister. Daniel had shared one with a smirk, his words dripping with false righteousness. Michael whispered, "Daniel, you were my brother." The sting of betrayal from Daniel cut deeper than any stranger's hatred. Michael slammed his hand against the table, his knuckles throbbing with anger. His inbox filled with press inquiries demanding statements he wasn't ready to make. Each question was loaded, designed to corner him, not understand him. Michael muttered, "They don't want truth, they want spectacle." Every ding of his phone felt like a dagger, each one carrying a new wound. The storm seeped into Michael's family. Michael dialed Richard again, desperate to hear his father's voice. The line rang, then went to silence. Michael whispered, "Please, just pick up." The rejection sliced deeper than the mob's cruelty. Michael closed his eyes, remembering Richard cheering at his first show, pride burning in his eyes. That memory clashed with the silence now, leaving Michael hollow. Michael muttered, "I was your son before I was anyone else." His hands trembled, gripping the phone as though holding on to a bond slipping away. On social media, Richard's absence was noted. Commenters jeered, saying even Michael's family had abandoned him. Michael stared at the words until they blurred into daggers. Night fell, but the storm refused to rest. Michael scrolled through endless feeds, each headline sharper than the last. Old interviews were clipped out of context, twisted to fit the narrative of guilt. Claire's silence turned colder, as if her loyalty had never existed. Daniel's words gained traction, his betrayal fueling the mob's hunger. Michael whispered, "They're building an army out of lies." Anna messaged again, "Michael, don't let them rewrite you." Michael held the phone, her words glowing like a faint candle in endless dark. Yet even with Anna's loyalty, the weight of thousands crushed him. His breathing grew shallow, every headline a stone, every repost a chain. Michael muttered, "How much more can they take?" His apartment walls closed in tighter, the silence broken only by the digital roar of a world demanding his erasure. The spiral felt endless. Michael stood by the window, city lights burning like judgment below. Michael whispered, "I gave them everything, and they're tearing it apart." His reflection stared back, hollow and weary, a man losing himself. Anna's name lit the phone again, her words unwavering, "I won't walk away." Michael pressed the device to his chest, whispering, "You're the only one left." Yet the truth gnawed at him, one ally could not silence thousands. Richard's silence thundered in Michael's ears, Claire's absence weighed heavier than the storm, and Daniel's betrayal screamed louder than any mob. Michael muttered, "They want me erased." His eyes glistened, the city below blurring into streaks of light through tears. He pressed his forehead to the glass and whispered, "I don't know how much more I can take." Michael sat at his desk, scrolling through endless accusations, his body drained. Just then, a message appeared from an unfamiliar number. Michael frowned, whispering, "Who is this?" The words on the screen froze his breath. "Michael, you need to know. Daniel leaked the story." Michael's hands trembled, his heart pounding as betrayal became truth. Michael said, "Daniel, why?" Rage flared as memories of brotherhood replayed. Late nights of planning, promises of loyalty. All of it twisted into venom. Michael muttered, "He sold me to survive." The message continued. "Daniel wanted your spot, your sponsors. He fed them lies." Michael slammed his fist against the desk. The mob's cruelty stung, but Daniel's betrayal shattered him. Michael's chest heaved as he reread the message. Anna called moments later, her voice firm. Anna said, "Michael, it's true. I've seen the emails. Daniel was behind it." Michael's voice cracked. "Anna, why would he do this?" Anna's silence spoke louder than words. Michael remembered how Daniel envied his rise, the way Daniel lingered in the shadows as Michael claimed the spotlight. Michael whispered, "He wanted everything I had." The mob was never faceless. It had been guided by betrayal from someone who once called him family. Michael's fury mixed with heartbreak. The weight of knowing trust itself had been corrupted. Michael stormed toward his shelf, grabbing an old photo of himself with Daniel. Their smiles radiated from the frame, arms around each other like brothers. Michael whispered bitterly, "You wore loyalty like a mask." His grip tightened until the frame cracked in his hand. Blood welled at his palm, but Michael didn't flinch. He stared at Daniel's smile, now mocking, now venomous. Michael said, "You betrayed me for applause." The storm outside rattled the windows, echoing the chaos in Michael's chest. For the first time, Michael felt the truth was worse than the mob. Strangers could wound, but Daniel had chosen to kill with silence and lies. Anna messaged Michael again, urging him to fight back. Anna wrote, "The truth matters, Michael. You can't let Daniel rewrite your life." Michael whispered, "They won't believe me." Yet deep down, Michael knew Daniel's betrayal was a weapon only the truth could disarm. Michael imagined that the mob reading Daniel's words, their rage fueled by manipulation. Michael muttered, "They cheered him as they burned me." His phone buzzed again. Leaked documents arrived, proof of Daniel's scheme. Michael stared, his hands trembling. For the first time, Michael wasn't just broken, he was armed with the truth. Michael stood by the window, city lights flickering below like false stars. Michael whispered, "Daniel, you wanted my crown, so you poisoned me." His reflection stared back, weary yet burning with new fire. Anna's voice echoed in his head, "The truth matters." For days, Michael had been drowning in silence and betrayal, but now he held a weapon. The mob's roar had not destroyed him, Daniel's lies had. Michael pressed his forehead to the glass, eyes sharp. He whispered, "If I fall with truth." The storm outside raged, but inside, Michael was no longer only a victim. The fire of betrayal had birthed defiance. Michael's chest burned as he paced his apartment, the leaked emails glowing on the screen. Michael muttered, "Daniel, you did this." His voice rose, shaking the silence. Michael grabbed his phone and recorded a video, his hand trembling but his gaze sharp. Michael said, "They lied to you. Daniel lied to you." His voice cracked, raw but resolute. For the first time, Michael wasn't pleading, he was fighting. He shouted, "I will not let betrayal erase me." His words echoed through the empty room like thunder. Michael's veins pulsed with rage, his body trembling under the weight of defiance. He had been beaten down, but at this moment, Michael was no longer prey. Michael uploaded the video, his finger hovering before pressing send. The moment it went live, the phone buzzed violently. Notifications flooded, some cruel, some questioning. Michael whispered, "Let them see." His breath was ragged, his hands trembling. Anna called instantly, her voice steady. Anna said, "Michael, you did the right thing." Michael muttered, "It feels like war." Outside, lightning tore across the sky, mirroring the storm within him. Michael's words had been unleashed, and the world could no longer pretend his silence meant guilt. He whispered, "This is my truth. Believe it or don't, but it's mine." Michael's video spread faster than he imagined. Social feeds exploded with divided voices. Some mocked, others doubted, but a few began to question Daniel. Michael whispered, "They're starting to see." His heart pounded, fear mixing with hope. But the backlash was still brutal. Threats filled his inbox, his name spat like venom in new hashtags. Michael gritted his teeth, muttering, "I won't hide." He opened a live stream, his face pale but defiant. Michael said, "If you want to watch me break, watch me now. I am still standing." His voice cracked but did not falter. Thousands tuned in, the mob staring as Michael dared to confront them head-on. Michael's live stream intensified. Michael slammed his palm on the desk and shouted, "Daniel betrayed me." His voice was raw, thunderous. He pulled up proof on screen. Emails, screenshots, contracts. Michael said, "You were fed lies, and you believed them because it was easier to hate than to ask." His eyes blazed as he leaned into the camera. Michael whispered, "I am not the monster they painted." His breath shook, his hands trembling, but he did not stop. He had become a storm of truth and pain, unwilling to be silenced. The chat erupted, some defending, some still spitting venom. Michael whispered, "At least now you've heard me." When the live stream ended, Michael collapsed back into his chair, chest heaving. He whispered, "It's out now. They know." The storm outside pounded against the glass as if echoing his rage and release. Michael's body shook, tears cutting through his fury. Anna called again, her voice soft. Anna said, "Michael, you faced them. That's more than anyone expected." Michael muttered, "Then why do I still feel broken?" He lowered his head, palms covering his face. Yet beneath the exhaustion, a spark glowed. Defiance had taken root. Michael whispered, "Daniel will not erase me. Not tonight." The morning after the storm felt eerily quiet. Michael sat on the edge of his bed, phone in hand, scrolling through reactions to his live stream. Some voices defended him, others cursed him louder. Michael whispered, "Truth isn't enough for them." His eyes burned from sleepless hours, but a strange calm lingered beneath the ache. Sponsors stayed silent, offers gone, doors closed. Michael muttered, "They'll never take me back." Anna's message lit the screen again. "I'm still here." Michael clutched the phone tightly, whispering, "One voice is louder than their thousands." Later that day, Michael walked into the kitchen, his reflection catching in the window. The silence of Richard still echoed, heavier than the mob. Michael whispered, "Why did you leave me too?" The photo of Richard stood on the counter, smiling from years ago. Michael touched the frame gently, muttering, "You taught me strength, but now you hide." The hurt carved deeper than betrayal, sharper than Daniel's lies. The world's rejection was brutal, but Richard's silence broke something inside Michael that no applause could ever fix. That evening, Anna visited Michael for the first time since the storm began. Michael opened the door slowly, his body weak, but his eyes softening at the sight of her. Anna said, "You don't have to carry this alone." Michael whispered, "Why risk yourself for me?" Anna stepped closer, her hand resting on his arm. Anna said, "Because truth matters. Because you matter." Michael felt the weight in his chest ease for a moment. In a world that wanted him erased, Anna's presence made him feel human again. Michael and Anna sat across from each other, the glow of a single lamp filling the room. Michael whispered, "Everything I built is gone." Anna leaned forward, her voice calm but strong. Anna said, "They can take your career, not your truth." Michael lowered his eyes, muttering, "But truth doesn't pay the rent." Anna smiled faintly, replying, "No, but truth keeps you alive." Michael felt the sting of her words, not as comfort but as survival. The silence between them was heavy but alive, unlike the silence of betrayal. Near midnight, Michael stood once again by the window, staring at the city lights. The storm had passed, but its echoes lingered. Michael whispered, "I survived, but am I still alive?" His reflection looked back, hollow yet unbroken. Anna's words repeated in his mind, "Truth keeps you alive." Michael pressed his hand against the glass, whispering, "I will not vanish." The world may never forgive, Richard may never return, Daniel may never confess, but Michael was still here. That truth, fragile and haunting, was enough to face tomorrow. Michael woke before dawn, the city still cloaked in darkness. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the faint glow from his phone. News outlets were buzzing again, this time with whispers of Daniel's exposure. Michael whispered, "They finally see the cracks." His heart pounded, but it wasn't triumph he felt, it was exhaustion. Anna called, her voice steady even in the early hour. Anna said, "Michael, this isn't the end. It's only a shift." Michael muttered, "I'm too tired to win." He stood slowly, walking to the window, the city lights fading into a muted sunrise. Michael whispered, "They may doubt forever, but at least the truth is out." He pressed his forehead to the glass, his breath fogging the cold surface. Michael muttered, "What am I if not their villain anymore?" Silence answered, heavier than any accusation. By midday, the headlines had shifted. Articles questioned Daniel's credibility, leaked documents spreading like wildfire. Michael scrolled through them with trembling hands. Michael whispered, "They're eating him alive now." Anna texted, "Truth has its own storm." Michael muttered, "But storms leave ruins." His sponsors didn't return, his contracts didn't revive, and Richard remained silent. Michael walked through his apartment, every photo, every trophy now a relic of a life stripped away. He whispered, "They will never give me back what they took." The truth had wounded Daniel, but Michael's scars remained permanent. He collapsed onto the couch, his body heavy, his eyes burning with unshed tears. Michael said, "Justice doesn't heal." Evening arrived, and Michael stood outside for the first time in days. The streets buzzed with life, but eyes lingered on him. Some stared with pity, others with judgment. Michael whispered, "I will always be the story they tell." He pulled his hood tighter around his face, every step heavy. A passerby muttered cruelly, "That's him." Another voice whispered, "But maybe he was right." Michael's breath quickened, his chest tight. The mob had fractured, but the cracks were jagged, cutting him either way. Anna joined him, her presence steady beside his fragile frame. Anna said, "You don't walk alone." Michael looked at her, voice barely audible. "You're all I have left." The words hung between them, raw and haunting. That night, Michael returned to his apartment, the weight of the day pressing into his bones. He whispered, "I survived their storm, but what's left of me?" Anna sat across the room, her eyes filled with quiet strength. Anna said, "Survival is not nothing." Michael looked away, staring at the blank screen of his laptop, his reflection staring back. He muttered, "I don't recognize him anymore." Anna whispered, "Maybe you're not supposed to?" The silence between them was heavy, filled with unspoken truths. The mob had moved on. Daniel was ruined, but Michael remained in the wreckage, haunted by absence and betrayal. Near midnight, Michael stood once more by the window, city lights flickering like distant ghosts. He whispered, "They erased me, and I let them." His breath fogged the glass, his reflection fractured in the panes. Behind him, Anna whispered, "Not erased, changed." Michael closed his eyes, tears slipping down his cheeks. He muttered, "Then let them remember this." Michael pressed his hand to the window and whispered, "I am the silence they created. I am the echo they can't escape." His words cut through the room like a blade, final and haunting. The city glowed beneath him, indifferent, as Michael stood suspended between ruin and defiance, his final truth burning into the night.